What if this was your knee-jerk response every time you made a mistake? Wow, this is a hard moment. I really wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I wouldn't have said that. Well, you know what? Life is full of mistakes. Life is full of imperfections. I'm only human after all. I'm going to choose to be kind to myself, and I'm going to look for the lessons here, and I'm going to try better next time. Do you all know what would happen to you if that was your knee-jerk response every time you made a mistake, every time you became aware of an imperfection or an insecurity inside yourself? It's okay if you don't. Science does. This is what it would do for you. This is what the research says. It would give you supercharged flexibility and resilience, increased motivation to succeed, healthier relationships, lowered anxiety and depression, amped up confidence, higher personal standards, and greater levels of overall happiness. And we all want to be happy, right? Curiosity is it's a lighthearted approach to just understanding what happened, okay? It involves just looking at the situation on the ground, what happened, and then owning the brutal truth of it. I love that word. Glennon Doyle Melton uses that word. Brutal, beautiful, isn't life that? All right, so I have another story to tell you. Earlier this year, I missed seeing a soccer goal that my 7-year-old son made during a soccer game. That's Bennett in the white shirt there, the love of my life, and I missed seeing it. I was there, but I was looking down. What was I looking at, you wonder? Well, I was looking at a Microsoft Word document on my laptop titled The Compassion Advantage. Yeah, I was trying to finish up my book on compassion, and I missed seeing a soccer goal that my son made at the game. Oh, I rationalized it by saying, you know what? I'll just bring my computer to the game, and when Bennett's not on the field, I'll see if I can finish this section, right? It was the wrong call. I will never forget the moment that Bennett came up to me after the game with big tears in his eyes. He was like, Mom, I made a soccer goal. And when I looked over at you, you were looking down at your computer. You hurt my feelings so much, Mom. It was one of the lowest moments in this ongoing quest that I have to be an excellent mom and an excellent professional. And it really stunk, y'all. It really stunk. In my old maladaptive perfectionistic days, the shame would have kicked in and it would have been like, I'm a horrible mom forever, right? But instead, I started asking myself some curiosity questions. And the first question I asked myself is, am I feeling guilt here or shame? Now, these are different things. Guilt is about, something we've done. We take and we look at a decision or an action, we evaluate it in the light of, who we are, and we determine, hey, that doesn't really fit with who I am. I'm gonna try better next time. And that's kind of how guilt can feel like, oh man, I gotta work on that, right? Shame is different. Shame is about who we are. Shame says, I'm bad, fundamentally flawed, unworthy of respect, belonging, and love, and I'll never get better. Guilt galvanizes us to do better next time. Shame paralyzes us, and it keeps us stuck, right? Now at the game, I was feeling kind of a combination of both guilt and shame, and I'll kind of get back to it in a second. Second question, this is the second curiosity question. What are the data points? This is about shifting every mistake has consequences. We just have to own that stuff. We have to look at it and be like, yep, here are the consequences, right? They have consequences. But what if it wasn't about like, oh my God, I suck so bad. What if it was like, what's the information here? What can I learn? Here's what I'm talking about at the soccer game. Looks like I'm not as good at multitasking as I thought I was. That's a data point. Looks like big plays can happen really quickly in kiddo soccer games. That's another data point. Check, check. Looks like I really hurt my son's feelings, and an apology is going to be needed. That was another data point, right? It's about shifting from condemnation to information. Much easier to move on and get back to who you are when you look at it as data points. Number 3, curiosity question, what's the context of this mistake? Now, this is not about fabricating an excuse for whatever happened. It's about forming a humanizing explanation. Here we ask about what are the bigger forces and structures and systems that fed in to whatever it is that happened. In this case, how many of you are working parents or have been in the past, or maybe working grandparents? Raise your hands high so I can connect with you. Yeah, so many hands up, thank you. All right, so here's what I'm talking about. On the one hand, we have this cultural expectation, like be a super duper present and attentive parent. That is hands down the most important thing. And then over here, be a super duper high performing and productive professional. That is hands down the most important thing. Oh, but don't forget about the parenting. Like at the end of the day, it's actually about your kids. Like when it's all said and done. Oh, but you know what? Your retirement is on the line, and you don't want to let down your colleagues. How many of you feel the crazy making pressure of these double standardy expectations in society? Raise your hand. So many hands. Yes, I'm with you. It is almost impossible to meet these expectations, okay? And all of us F up sometimes as we try to do so. That's the power of asking about context. Now, thank you, everybody who raised their hand. You just beautifully demonstrated the second step of radical self-compassion, which is the ordinary courage of connection, right? Now, when we make a mistake, the very first thing most of us want to do is hide, is isolate. It's like, oh crap, who saw? Who saw? I'll just be over here. And I'm going to fix it over here. No one's going to see. All right, it's fixed, and I'll come back, and then I'll connect with you, right? Nobody needs to know. That's what we want to do. Why do we do that? Well, it goes back to the brain stuff, right? When we mess up, we go into threat detection mode subconsciously. And that whole thing about, being kicked out of your hunter-gatherer tribe in the Paleolithic, yeah, our brains remember that. And so we feel scared. It's like, oh my God, I might die. And so we hide. That's why we hide. That's why we lie. We've all hidden, we've all lied, because you know what? We're all human. We're all human. Now, radical self-compassion involves pushing past the urge to hide and lie, right? Now, this takes some badass courage, because everything in us wants to stay in the petri dish of shame, where shame festers and grows, okay, and we feel worse and worse about ourselves, and we stay stuck, more likely to repeat the mistake. But when we bring it out into the light of human connection, it sears away that shame, and it gives us an opportunity to just accept it and move on, okay? Now, after that soccer game thing, very first thing I did was connect with my son. I looked into his tearful eyes, and I said, Bennett, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. That was my mistake. And, little kid needed to be angry at mom for a while. Totally gave him that space, and after a while, we repaired it. See, apologies are sometimes needed. Sometimes that is the first connection point you need to make. If there is someone on your team, in your personal life right now, that you need to apologize to, I urge you to really consider doing it, and doing it soon. Every healthy relationship has ruptures and repairs. That's what interpersonal neurobiologists call it, the rupture repair pattern. And it actually helps make relationships stronger. Apologies, essential in terms of radical self-compassion. It's compassionate to yourself too, to apologize. Then you can move on. Another thing is to reach out to empathizers. These are people that you know and trust, who can assure you, hey, you're not alone. And whatever imperfection or mistake or whatever that you're not loving about yourself, it doesn't define you. You're bigger than that, right? So after the soccer game situation, Bennett and I went home. I was making him some lunch. It was probably macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. God help me. And I remember I texted my fellow soccer mom, Cecilia, who was sitting next to me the entire time watching this train wreck happen, okay, at the soccer game. And this is my text thread to her. I said, such a bad mom moment. Ah! And the irony, too, that I was working on a book on compassion. And this is what she said. She said, oh, don't beat yourself up. You're an awesome mom who has seen so many amazing moments and will see so many more. The irony, though. Cecilia didn't diminish my F up, but she didn't amplify it either. She brought understanding and she brought humor and she reminded me that this mistake doesn't define me. I'm actually an awesome mom. And we all need empathizers in our life who can do that for us at key moments. Now, I can hear what some of you are thinking. Yeah, but doesn't empathy just excuse bad behavior? Actually, what it does is that human connection with another person sears away that petri dish shame. And it gives us the resilience, and we remember who we are, our purpose, right? And we realize we're not alone. It gives us that sense of common humanity. That's what Kristen Neff calls it. And then we can just put it to bed and move on the next day, right? That's what connection does. But you have to tell the right people. You don't want to tell the wrong people. There are people out there who will shame you for your mistakes, so you have to make your decisions carefully, right? If you want to do better next time, you've got to connect better this time. That's a key point. You've got to connect better. And not just with other people, you have to connect with yourself. You have to connect with your own values. Now, this conference theme is about purpose. I just love the theme. Your values are the foundation of purpose, okay? Your values are about what's important to you. How do you want to be in the world? It's that age-old question, how now shall I live? Your purpose is about what you want to do with that. Now that I know what's important, here's what I'm going to aim for. Here's the impact that I want to make. Here's my why. Here's why I'm getting out of bed in the morning, the contribution I want to make in the world. But you can't know that stuff if you don't know what's important to you. And with mistakes, it's important to just put whatever happened in a framework of like, what are my values and how does whatever happened fit in with my values, okay? So I'm going to give you all a chance right now to connect with your own values. It's not like we all have like all this time to sit around meditating about our values, so let's do it now. I invite you to take a second and get intentionally comfortable in your chair. Sit in a way in which your back is straight but supported. Maybe put both feet flat on the floor and kind of feel balanced in your body. Take some deep breaths. Maybe feel your shoulders drop. And if you're comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes. I want you to imagine that you are 90 years old and you're sitting on a park bench looking back on a life well lived. You have fulfilled your purpose. You have lived out your values. You've seen it all, you've done it all, you've survived it all. You've lived to tell the tale and you have become your own hero. Now I want you to ask yourself, what words most describe this future ideal me? What value words? Maybe wise, maybe resilient, maybe generous, maybe humorous, maybe creative, maybe courageous. I don't know what your words are, but notice maybe the top 2 words that come to mind and make a mental note of them. Now, keeping your eyes closed, I want you to imagine that this future, fully actualized self is with you now, with whatever hard thing you are currently struggling with. Whatever pain, whatever mistake, whatever difficulty is going on in your life right now, whether it's with your business or with your personal life. And I want you to pretend that this wise and weathered elderly self is with you now and looks into your eyes with deep compassion and understanding and says this, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that struggle. That was hard. But you know what? Going through that and growing through that made me who I am today. You'll survive. And while you'll never be perfect, life will never be perfect. You will learn to thrive. Step by step, you are becoming your own future hero. You are becoming me. Trust it. Trust it. Now go ahead and open your eyes. Return here back to me. You all, that is the essence of radical self-compassion. It's about allowing the best in us to take us by the hand and say, come on, sweetheart, I'm going to help you grow into me. That's what it's about. That's what I want for you all. All right, step 3. Who remembers that movie from the 80s? Here I am dating myself again. An American Tail with the little mouse Fievel. Okay, I've got some hands. Nice. So in the movie, if you're not familiar, little Fievel is emigrating to America with his family. And he's walking up the gangplank to the ship, and he keeps stopping. He's like looking around like little kids do, and his family's like, keep walking, Fievel, keep walking. So he takes a few more steps and, eventually he gets on the ship. Radical self-compassion requires a radical commitment to keep walking, to keep taking steps of self-kindness and self-accountability. We're going to talk about both, okay? Sometimes I call this graceful grit. Let's start with the kindness. Dr. Kristin Neff is a self-compassion researcher. If this stuff resonates with you, look up Kristin Neff. She's amazing. She talks about the yin and the yang of self-compassion. The yin is about acts of kindness and nurturance towards ourselves. In the wake of an imperfection, an insecurity, a mistake, whatever we don't love about ourselves, we work to choose self-kindness over self-punishment. It doesn't come easy for a lot of us to do this. I remember, I think about my mom. She's a dear person, but she's always been pretty hard on herself. One time when I was 11, my parents sent me off to a YMCA camp for 2 weeks, and my mom forgot to pick me up after camp. The bus came, all the kids got off the bus, everybody else's parents are there, and I'm like, where's my mom? This is before cell phones, y'all. It was a bit harrowing to get home. Let me tell you, it took a while. My mom will sometimes bring that up, at the Thanksgiving dinner table. I'm like, Mom, why are you talking about that? She sinks into this puddle of self-loathing about the camp situation. I'm like, you have to forgive yourself. Anyway, point being, it's tough. It's tough to be kind to ourselves, right? So we need help. We need some things we can do. Now, I'm going to give you an opportunity to practice something. The first part of this exercise is another inward one. So take a minute again, if you would, humor me, and go ahead and get intentionally comfortable in your chair again. Maybe you're still sitting that way where you feel supported, feet on the floor. You can do some inwardness and maybe take a deep breath in and out. And close your eyes. I want you to call to mind something that happened recently in your life that you regret. Maybe a mistake you made, something you said or did that you're just really not loving. Let's make it a 5 or a 6 on an intensity scale. 1 being forgetting to empty the dishwasher. 10 being, torturing kittens. Let's stay in the 5 or 6. Think about what happened. Think about that regretful thing. And I want you to ask yourself, what is my inner critic saying to me about this moment of regret? See if you can notice what your inner critic is telling you about yourself. What are the words? What's the tone? And just notice it for a minute. Okay, everybody, you can open your eyes. Never fun, but this next part is pretty fun. Now, before I do this, I have to assure you all that no one is going to need to share their moment of regret with anyone else here. I promise. I'm not going to make you do that, okay? But I am going to ask you to pair up and find somebody that you can partner with. So I'm going to ask you to find somebody and pick a person A and a person B, okay? So go ahead, find your person, find your partner. Who's person A? Who are my A's? Raise your hand high. Okay, A's. Here's what you're going to do. Here's what you're going to do. You are going to pretend that person B is your best friend. And they just came to you in a moment of vulnerability, looking for your support because they are struggling with the very same thing you yourself were just thinking about. They made the same mistake, the same thing they're not loving about themselves, okay? And they came to you saying oh man, I just need to talk about this and I need some empathy and support. What do you say to your friends? And what do you do? Ready, set, go. Just say it and do it. Act it out. We're role playing here. Now we're gonna switch it up. Person B, Raise your hand. Who are my bees? All right. Now B, you're going to do the same thing. Imagine the person A is your very best friend in the whole world, and they just came to you and they're like, I need help, I need support because there's this thing that happened or this thing. What do you say to your friend? Ready, set, go. Do it. Is there anyone who's willing to share what they heard coming out of their mouth to their best friend with the group? If you're one of those brave people, go ahead and raise your hand. I see someone being volunteered over here. I can hear you. What did you say to your friends?
So one of the things we talked about was, did you learn from your mistake?
Yes.
Are you going to do it again? No, because you learned from your mistake. So everything will be okay.
Yeah, everything will be okay. And this is an opportunity for learning, right?
Yep.
Lena, that is amazing. Now, was that a little different than what your inner critic was telling you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it quite different?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Lena, for offering us an example, because I'm guessing a lot of you had a similar experience, right? What you told your friend was pretty different than what your inner critic was telling you. Now, here's what we're going to do. I want everybody to put your hand on your heart, and I want you to say, this is an opportunity to learn and grow, and it's going to be okay. Good. Thank you. And thank you, Lena, because she supplied us with those words. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. That's pretty brave. It's like 800 people in here. Thank you. Now, here's your homework, y'all. Start responding to your struggling self in the same way you responded to your struggling friend, right? It's pretty different usually. And after you do it once, I want you to do it again, and I want you to do it again. The way we talk to ourselves in our heads matters, okay? We're forming new neural connections. And this is the commitment and the persistence to keep walking of radical self-compassion. That's the kindness part. Now, we have to talk about the second part, which is accountability. If we don't want to repeat the mistake, we have to find ways to protect ourselves, provide for ourselves, motivate ourselves to do something different next time, okay? I have a story to tell here. So when I was in my mid-30s, I cut alcohol out of my life. I just realized, this isn't for me. I don't love what it's doing to me, and so I stopped drinking. Pandemic hits, 5 years later. There's something about COVID-19 that was making an ice-cold can of Surly Furious look really, really, really good. Or maybe 2 or a 6-pack. Anyway, it wasn't pretty. Pretty soon, I was drinking way more than I wanted to. I was locked at home with a toddler, y'all. Like, it was bad. And so I realized I have to quit drinking again. And for any of you who've struggled with any dependence issues, substance, quitting the second time around is a whole heck of a lot harder than quitting the first time around, let me tell you. Anyone want to guess how many day ones, as in like day one, I'm never drinking again, did I have before I managed to stop drinking fully for the second time? Anyone want to take a guess? 12, more. 30, more. 82, oh, thank God in heaven it's lower than that. 38 day ones. That's the radical commitment I'm telling you all about. I have not had a drink since May 31st, 2021. Now, why wasn't there a 39 or an 80? An 80th day? Because I found an accountability buddy. I finally wisened up and I joined an online sobriety community, and I found a buddy who, when I was like 15 days into my 39th day one, I wanted a Surly. And so I texted my friend, and he said 2 words. He said, please don't. And you know what? That was what I needed. I couldn't do it for myself, but I did it for him. And that was what did it. Y'all, accountability buddies are sometimes the linchpin in our efforts to change our behavior, to change our mistakes, even as we radically accept ourselves with kindness, okay? There are times when outside help is needed, and that's okay. That's okay.